That's a good one.
It came up during BD, speaking of D'Angelo White, Daniel Jones or Jared Goff. And I caught like the tail end of the conversation. I think it was Neil was asking you, who would you rather have? And you were kind of hesitant on the answer. I think you said Daniel Jones.
I did say, yeah.
You feel more convinced like later on the day after getting to look at some numbers?
After getting to look at some numbers, honestly, yeah, I do feel a little bit more convinced. I don't think it's tough. I'm not going to say it's a home run either way. Like, yeah, I'd definitely rather have Jared Goff, or yeah, I'd definitely rather have Daniel Jones. I think it's kind of a pick your poison between the two. But this year, Daniel Jones has been playing at a pretty good level. Obviously, we know he's always been a threat with his legs. But this year, on the ground,
just like Angelo White,
he's got 69 rush attempts for 387 yards, 3 touchdowns, 31 first downs. 31 first downs with his legs.
Flannel Sam here.
Flannel Sam, Kirby Joseph, first downs with his leg. That is so impressive. That brings a whole new element to an offense when you have the capability of when you have the capability of doing that. When you have the ability of your quarterback to go out there and get a first down with his legs, that just brings a whole new element. So, man, I'm starting to lean towards Daniel Jones a little bit more.
I'm yes, 100% Daniel Jones. I mean, look at. I've always said, and I actually said this on BDE with Neil. We were talking about the Jared Goff situation. We had the whole Tua debate along with it. And Daniel Jones came up too. He's like, oh, he's a turnover machine. What Flano said in the booth earlier about the offensive weapons that he's had to work with before the return of Saquon Barkley has been absolute shit. On top of that, they've been building this offensive line gradually, like through the past 2 drafts.
Yes.
Like he hasn't had those things to work with. And I saw like points last year where I've seen him run the football. I was like, actually, I think last year he hit like the fastest speed among any quarterback, and the one who just got sniped.
And he fell. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's a capable quarterback. Like quite clearly, as a 7-2 football team this year, you can win games with a Daniel Jones. Their offense is literally predicated around him and Saquon Barkley. They run that zone run scheme, and it's been nasty. Like Flannel Sam said, he's already right now, I think, the second highest rushing totals he had throughout his career.
Yes.
And he's only 10 games in the season, 9 games in the season. I don't know if they had their bye week or not yet, which is 397 or 87.
387.
Whatever it is, it's a problem. It's obviously working for them. And then obviously you have Saquon Barkley to help along with it. I mean, Daniel Jones has been more than capable this year of winning football games, and that's what I look for in a quarterback. I don't. Obviously, you'd love to have him to have all the traits. Then you're working like a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. But if not, give me, like you said the other day, something elite, or something that just throws a wrench in the game plan for the other team.
Yes.
Don't give me a guy that's a statue, one read guy. I'm saying that's. And I'm not trying to disrespect Jared Goff. I know I've done it enough throughout my time here at Woodward Sports, but he just is what he is. I never said nothing that wasn't true.
Facts. I did.
Flannel Sam, are we tripping?
Tripping, no, but I would probably still take Jared Goff. I'm not a big Daniel Jones guy. One thing that really stands out to me about Daniel Jones, I know we say that he's won games this year, but in his last 34 starts, he has 29 touchdown passes. That means that he's not really asked to do a whole lot, and before this season, he never really experienced any kind of winning. His rookie year, they won 4 games, sophomore year 6, last year 4. And I'm not saying that, and I'm not a quarterback wins guy, but when you've never experienced winning until this year, that concerns me a little bit. What you guys say about his running ability, that is a problem for defenses, and Jared Goff has none of it. He might be the least mobile quarterback in the pocket in the NFL. He reminds me of 2015 Peyton Manning with his mobility. But Jared Goff, even though I say it wasn't because of him, when he had good rosters, those teams won games. One of his Rams teams made it to a Super Bowl. They were consistently in the playoffs. And I think Jared Goff, what he provides throwing the football, is much better than what Daniel Jones does. And he has proven that with the good roster with which the Lions are trying to build up, you can win games with them. I know Daniel Jones is showing it this year, but he also has the number 1 running back in the NFL. So give me Jared Goff, Aldo. You guys aren't crazy at all.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at it, when Jared Goff had his extreme success,
number 1 running
he
back
had the number 1 running
Yeah.
back in the NFL. Arguably, I think, per capita, the best running back I've ever seen.
Ooh.
When Todd Gurley was on, When Todd Gurley was on and doing his thing, I compare him to like Adrian Peterson.
Okay.
When he obviously,
I was gonna say that'd be the guy.
Obviously, the longevity was not there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the longevity was not there. You look at Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, but Todd Gurley, when that like 3-year stretch where he was just unstoppable and he was doing everything. That is one of the greatest running backs I've ever seen play, personally. It would have been nice if his knees weren't falling apart and he could have done it for 5, 6, 7 years. But when Todd Gurley was on, he was crazy. And you give that to Jared Goff, it makes it a lot easier running play actions. When you fake a handoff to by far the best running back in the game at the time, everybody's going to bite on that. Because if you don't, he's burning you. And so it makes it a lot easier to throw the ball to a Robert Woods, to a Brandon Cooks, to somebody down the field. So you look at what Daniel Jones is doing at 7-2 or 7-3, whatever the Giants are right now, with Saquon, who is fantastic, having a great year, yes.
Yeah.
Still no receivers. He's got what, Wan'Dale Robinson? I don't even know half of the guys. You listed them earlier, and the ghost of Kenny Golladay sitting on his bench. They just traded Kadarius Toney. I like Darius Slayton. I think he's pretty good, but he's not an elite receiver. But I think Amon-Ra is the best receiver on the field. And I think if Josh Reynolds is healthy, he's probably the number 3 best receiver on the field in this matchup. So if you gave Daniel Jones some weapons like that, I think he could do very similar things, especially to what Jared Goff had in his time in LA, because Todd Gurley was a menace.
Yeah. That's why I was like, Neil, shout out Neil on BDE from 10 to 1 Monday through Friday. He didn't corner me, but I want to make it sound a bit more dramatic. But I passed him by coming into work today because he's leaving, and he stopped me, and we had a little conversation about Tua there. And he's like, "It's pretty mid, huh? Pretty mid." You know, talking his junk like he does. But I'm like, yeah, I still feel the same way. Look at Jared Goff, though. When he had, on a rookie deal, had an elite offensive mind as a head coach and amazing weapons around him, you would have said that Jared Goff was having the same type of season that Tua is this year. In fact, he led the 13th most highest scoring offense in league history. But you see him subtract the coach, subtract the weapons around him. You address him a little bit. You see what he is. And I get that everybody needs talent around them to be successful. Mm-hmm. But Tua Tagovailoa is just another example of that to me. Because we saw him without it his first 2 years in his career. Granted, his first 2 years of career, you're coming along, you learn the NFL. But he was mid.
Oh, he 100% was mid, but I don't think you're giving him enough credit for how much he has improved. I understand that Tyreek Hill being your number 1 receiver takes everybody's quarterback stock up to a level.
Do you think he's improved more than the surroundings?
I think it's complementary. I would say no if I'm going to answer directly, no, because obviously having Mike McDaniel as a young offensive-minded head coach, I think that's helped him a lot. Having Tyreek Hill as the number 1 wide receiver, that's gonna help you,
on
obviously,
the same field
a ton.
As Jalen Waddle, you know what I'm saying?
all that speed. But Tua Tagovailoa also, he's taken advantage. He has the ability to hit these receivers in stride, and they can get yards after catch. Sure. I'm not saying that Tua Tagovailoa has all of a sudden turned elite, but he has made improvements. He's not what he always was. He's shown that with a coach and with talent, you can win. He can put up some of the best numbers in the NFL this year. I hate to say it. It kills me to say it. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, I think they're all in that same pot, that same stratosphere.
You're 100% right.
Of
Daniel
Jared
Jones,
Goff, Daniel Jones,
yeah.
and Tua Tagovailoa. They are all mid to above average starting quarterbacks who, if you compile an entire roster around them, they can win you games. The only thing is, one of them's getting paid $30 million and the other ones are on rookie deals.
Yeah, and that's that thing. You can't build around a $30 million quarterback that's not elite. You just can't. And that's why when you saw the success of a Daniel Jones is becoming on his rookie contract, you saw the success of a Tua while he's on a rookie contract. You paid Tyreek Hill the highest, paid receiver in the league. The success of a Jared Goff is when you could pay to have a rest of the team like surrounded around him. It's just, and you have the offensive mind too. With Daniel Jones and Tua, both with them, I think their surroundings have improved more than they have personally. I think Daniel Jones has some qualities within him, but we'll see. We have to go to a break real quick, though. I appreciate you guys tapping in with us. Jared Goff winning the poll in the Woodward Sports chat. 72% of people listening would rather have Jared Goff over Daniel Jones. I think they need to, which actually I'm not mad at.